Sinovac COVID vaccine stops production, but city still has stocks. Parade to celebrate the Year of the Dragon on February 10th. Spain makes wearing masks mandatory in some places as COVID cases rise. Hello and welcome to TVB News. Mainland media reported that China's Sinovac will cease manufacturing COVID vaccines. Hong Kong's Department of Health said there is enough inventory of Sinovac jabs for use this year. Jackie Lin reports.
The Sinovac COVID vaccine is the only brand available for inoculation in Hong Kong that uses an inactivated form of COVID virus to create immunization instead of the mRNA technology. Citing Sinovac's documents, China's Jimu News reported the biopharmaceutical company has stopped manufacturing their COVID vaccines. In response to media inquiries, Hong Kong's Department of Health said the city's COVID inventory is enough for the expected need of this year. Earlier, the University of Hong Kong collaborated with another Chinese pharmaceutical group, Sinopharm, to conduct tests on inactivated vaccines against new COVID mutant strains. But if the current stockpile of Sinovac jabs runs out, will citizens be stripped of the inactivated virus vaccine option for a while?
呢個平台咧，佢係冇製造 XBB 呢個疫苗嘅喎。
Respiratory disease expert Professor David Hui from the Chinese University of Hong Kong said the inactivated vaccines now cannot help to defend against the XBB variant. This, as Sinovac only targets the ancestral or original coronavirus strain. He added, according to various studies, mixing different types of jabs using the inactivated and mRNA technology can help generate more potent antibody levels against COVID with better prevention of complications from COVID infections. The World Health Organization also warns of the more transmissible JN.1 COVID variant circulating globally. Professor Hui said there's no need to reintroduce the mask mandate in Hong Kong. But there's a need to ratchet up inoculation rates among the old and young, Hui said. He urges high-risk groups especially to get the third-generation XBB jab if their last vaccination or last infection was more than half a year ago. With both COVID and other respiratory diseases in the community, Hui also reminds these groups to wear masks in crowded places and public transport and pay more attention to hand hygiene. Jackie Lin, TVB News.
The Chinese New Year night parade will be held in Tsim Sha Tsui for the first time in 5 years on the 10th of February. The event will begin at 8 p.m. at the Hong Kong Cultural Center before passing through areas such as Canton Road and Nathan Road and ending outside the Sheraton Hotel.
The Chinese New Year Parade has been a very signature event of Hong Kong for so many years. Since we have actually not organizing this event for 5 years, so actually a lot of locals as well as the tourists have been expecting this event. We also have a series of events around Chinese New Year to make our tourists to stay longer.
The parade will feature dragon-themed floats and performances from both local and foreign entertainers. Organizations such as Cathay Pacific and Hong Kong Disneyland will take part. 2,500 spectator seats will be on sale from 8 a.m. on the 27th of January at the Tourism Board's Visitor Center at the Tsim Sha Tsui Ferry Pier. Ticket prices will range between $300 and $480. Cathay Pacific Airways saw at least 20 more flights canceled today. The carrier CEO Ronald Lam once again apologized for the disruption. Timothy Lee tells us more.
The cancellations of around 10 to 20 Cathay Pacific flights per day are set to continue into the end of next month. Cathay CEO Ronald Lam apologized again for the flight cuts and admitted flight cancellation notifications were delayed for affected passengers earlier this week.
Throughout this incident, we've been keeping the Hong Kong government and all the regulators informed. And moving forward, we will also closely work with them to look at the root cause of this incident. We will take a very thorough look at our organization when it comes to operational planning. We're going to look at our end-to-end process when it comes to operational planning, as well as our technology, digital capability as well.
He said the sudden flight cuts last month were mainly caused by the effects of the flu season, while flight cuts this month and in February were made to ensure operations throughout Chinese New Year will run smoothly. The number of pilots working for the city's flagship carrier has halved to compare with the pre-pandemic number. Operational capabilities have returned to 70% of the pre-COVID period. Regarding concerns about the airline's goal of restoring full operational capability within this year, Cathay said it will increase its manpower by 5,000 before the end of the year, but did not mention how many of them will be pilots. Secretary for Transport and Logistics Lam Sai-hung said Cathay had not done a good job in both the communication and aftercare for affected passengers, and has asked airline authorities to make improvements. The Civil Aviation Department mandated Cathay to submit reports, including staffing information, to authorities before the end of the month. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
Taxi passengers will soon be able to pay for their rides through scanning the QR codes on the Octopus payment network. The scheme will be implemented on the 25th of this month. The digital payment system applies to platforms such as UnionPay, Alipay Hong Kong, as well as some mainland platforms. Currently, 21,000 taxi drivers in the city are using the Octopus app for business. A 4-month pregnant woman was hit by a truck in Kwun Tong on Tuesday, died this morning. The 31-year-old underwent 2 days of emergency treatment at Kwong Wah Hospital. Her family had been waiting anxiously, but the woman was pronounced dead at around 11:30 a.m. On Tuesday, the pregnant woman was hit by a truck which was driving along Hoi Bun Road and making a turn into Tsunyip Street. She sustained severe injuries to her head. The 59-year-old driver was arrested on suspicion of dangerous driving and causing grievous bodily harm. Hong Kong Customs seized more than 3,000 kilograms of suspected smuggled Australian lobster in Tai O on Wednesday. No one was arrested. Some of the lobsters were still alive when seized in these styrofoam boxes. Worth around $1.24 million, these lobsters were carried by 5 electric tricycles on the coast near Sun Key Street. 2 speedboats then picked them up. When customs officers attempted to make arrests, suspected smugglers on the speedboats fled towards mainland waters. Customs believe the lobsters were intended to be smuggled to the mainland to meet increased demand in high-end food ahead of the Chinese New Year holidays. If not intercepted, the lobsters could evade around $1 million in taxes. Overseas, Spanish Health Minister Monica Garcia made wearing masks mandatory in healthcare centers around the country from Wednesday. This as the country faces a peak of flu and COVID-19 infections. The Spanish Health Ministry ordered wearing masks in hospitals and healthcare centers and recommended them in private clinics, pharmacies, and dental practices. Several Spanish regions had already ordered patients, visitors, and staff at hospitals to wear masks last week. Spain's central government on Monday proposed extending that requirement nationwide. Regions will be able to lift the requirement if infections fall for 2 weeks. Spain was among the last European countries to drop requirements to wear face masks following the pandemic. Papua New Guinea is restoring order after at least 16 people were killed in riots. Police officers had walked off their jobs in protest over pay, which was followed by a day of rioting. Some Chinese shops have been looted, and Beijing has urged local authorities to ensure the safety of Chinese citizens and institutions. David Garrett reports.
Flames leap into the sky on a deadly night in Papua New Guinea. The fire is a result of looting that took over the capital, Port Moresby. Similar scenes were reported in the second city, Lai. Protests by the police and public sector over a pay cut was a catalyst for deadly riots. The economy has suffered with high unemployment and spiralling costs. Earlier, smoke was seen lifting into the sky as fires started. Other aerial shots showed a mass of people converging on a large shopping centre and stealing items. At ground level, some businesses had been gutted by fires. Shops and banks were forced to close.
In 48 years of independence, I can't recall in my lifetime seeing this level of devastation in a single day event. It's just senseless, it's unacceptable, and, you know, we just need to have a really good hard look at ourselves.
Police went on strike on Wednesday morning after discovering a reduction in their salary. Officials blame this on an administrative glitch. The country's leader denounced the unrest that followed.
I encourage all our citizens to step out today and give respect to your country one more time.
The Prime Minister was quick to condemn the police and other civil servants for going on strike in the first place. Their protests were peaceful.
Ill discipline in police force will not be tolerated. Ill discipline in defence will not be tolerated. You can have one moment in the sunlight, but these moments will not last forever.
As the clean-up begins, the Foreign Ministry says 2 Chinese nationals were slightly injured in the violence. With 10 million people, Papua New Guinea is the most populous South Pacific nation after Australia. Their government is watching out for the 10,000 Australians there.
Our High Commission in Port Moresby are keeping a very close eye on what is occurring there, making sure that Australians are looked after. We continue to urge calm at this difficult time.
David Garrett, TVB News.
President Xi Jinping and the President of Finland, Sauli Niinisto, held a meeting via video link on Wednesday. They pledged to further enhance mutually beneficial cooperation. Daniel Rell tells us more.
During their video link talks on Wednesday, President Xi Jinping noted that Finland was one of the first Western countries to establish diplomatic relations with the People's Republic of China and has long adhered to a friendly policy towards Beijing. Xi said he appreciates Finnish President Sauli Niinisto's commitment to promoting pragmatic cooperation and friendly exchanges between Finland and China. Xi said cooperation between the two countries has continued to deepen in fields such as forest industry, agriculture and food products, information and telecommunications, energy and environmental protection, science and technology, education and winter sports. Xi stated China is willing to work with Finland to jointly advocate multilateralism, safeguard free trade and make positive contributions to maintaining world peace and stability. Niinisto praised achievements China has made in development and the continuous improvement of living standards of the Chinese people. He said Finland is willing to work with China to further strengthen mutually beneficial cooperation and continuously promote new development in Finland-China and EU-China relations. That's in addition to stepping up exchanges with China on international and regional affairs and jointly respond to global challenges. Dan Rowell, TV News.
Still ahead, China announces new measures to help incoming travelers. South Africa takes Israel to international court over Gaza war. CEO of Boeing admits fault after door comes off Boeing plane over America. Welcome back to TVB News. The National Immigration Administration in Beijing has unveiled 5 measures to facilitate foreigners coming to China for business and tourism. They include relaxing visa application conditions and streamlining procedures for visa extension. Jackie Lin reports.
Under the new measures by the National Immigration Administration, it will be easier for foreign nationals who urgently need to engage in business or non-diplomatic activities to travel to China, but can't obtain a visa overseas in time. They can apply for a port visa to enter China by presenting relevant supporting documents to port visa authorities. A visa-free transit too for travelers with international connecting flights within 24 hours. Foreign nationals can transit through 9 international airports in China, including the Beijing Capital Airport, without going through immigration procedures for up to 24 hours.
外籍人员来华逐步增多。
Liu Haitao, deputy head of the National Immigration Administration, said with the increasing number of foreign visitors, some of them reflected the need for a smoother visa application process. With that, the immigration authorities look set to address key challenges and hurdles related to the entry of foreigners for business, study, and travel to also better facilitate global economic recovery, Liu said. According to the latest statistics from the National Immigration Administration, 210 million visitors entered China in 2023. That's nearly 63% of pre-pandemic levels. Authorities believe visitor numbers will continue to rise in 2024 with the resumption of international flights and cross-border exchanges. Jackie Lin, TVB News.
The International Court of Justice is hearing a case filed by South Africa, which is accusing Israel of genocide in their war on Hamas in Gaza. Israel rejects the allegation. The United Nations International Court of Justice convened at The Hague in the Netherlands. The hearing will take place today and tomorrow. They will listen to South Africa's claim that Israel is violating obligations it has under a UN genocide convention. South Africa wants the judges to advise that Israel halt its military campaign. In their opening remarks, they accused Israel of apartheid.
On 6 October 2023, we are also particularly mindful of Israel's institutionalized regime of discriminatory laws, policies and practices designed and maintained to establish domination, subjecting the Palestinian people to apartheid on both sides of the Green Line. Decades-long impunity for widespread and systematic human rights violations has emboldened Israel in its recurrence and intensification of international crimes in Palestine.
The United Nations Security Council has adopted a resolution condemning Houthi attacks on vessels in the Red Sea. It says the Houthis must stop attacks on all types of ships. The resolution demands the release of the Galaxy Leader vehicle carrier and its crew, which were hijacked 2 months ago. China, Russia, Algeria, and Mozambique abstained. The resolution was adopted with 11 votes in favor. The U.S. and British Navy say they shot down 21 drones and missiles that were attacking ships earlier this week. They said it was the largest attack of its kind carried out by the Houthis. The militant group, which control most of Yemen, have been attacking vessels to show support for Hamas and the Palestinians in Gaza.
The Council must speak now with a unified voice and adopt this resolution. Repeated Houthi attacks on international shipping are a security threat. They are an economic threat, increasing the prices people pay for food, medicine, and energy.
Boeing CEO has admitted the company was at fault after an Alaska Airlines Boeing 737 MAX 9 plane suffered a door blowout in the middle of the flight. NBC News spoke to Boeing CEO David Calhoun.
5 days after a near-catastrophic mid-air emergency, the CEO of Boeing, in an exclusive interview with CNBC's Phil LeBeau, says he was devastated and emotional seeing the gaping hole in that Alaska Airlines MAX 9 Friday night.
What I really saw was the empty seat. And I had spent a week with my kids and grandkids, and so enough said.
Thankfully, no one was seated near the hole. During a Boeing safety stand-down Tuesday, CEO David Calhoun told employees airline and passenger confidence in Boeing is at stake.
We're going to approach this, number one, acknowledging our mistake.
The NTSB's focus, that blown-out door plug, looking for signs of metal fatigue and whether it was ever properly secured. 4 critical bolts have not yet been recovered. Both Alaska and United Airlines, which fly the MAX 9, report finding loose bolts around other MAX 9 door plugs.
How did an unsafe airplane fly in the first place?
Because a quality escape occurred.
Calhoun doesn't know if the breakdown in production line quality control happened at Spirit Aerosystems, which makes the fuselage, or Boeing, which turns out the plane. Spirit said today it remains focused on the quality of each aircraft structure that leaves our facilities. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg.
Are you concerned about the quality of product that Boeing is turning out, and should the American public be concerned?
What I'll say is that every plane that they deliver to an airline, every plane that goes into the skies needs to be 100% safe, and they need to be able to demonstrate that.
5 years after 2 MAX 8 crashes killed 346 people overseas, CEO Calhoun says the company's reputation is on the line.
It's serious. It's a safety incident, and nobody's going to live with that, period.
In other news, hundreds of hip-shaking, wig-wearing music fans began their annual pilgrimage to the Elvis Festival in Australia. The festival is the world's largest tribute to the iconic musician. Revelers danced to the King's hits at Sydney's Central Railway Station before catching the Elvis Express to the rural town of Parkes. Passengers can enjoy a steady stream of Elvis-themed entertainment with tribute artists belting out the King's biggest hits. Organizers expect up to 25,000 people to attend the festival.
Oh, what happens on the Elvis Express stays on the Elvis Express, you know. Look, it's really just a lot of fun.
Everyone's got so serious. The world, everyone's painting their house grey, the world's gone grey. We need a bit of colour and a bit of fun. And just, you know, get out there and have a laugh, I say.
That is the news. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.